Glory, go. Mom buns.
Part 2.
Oh, yeah. You should have done the
Mom buns.
harmony.
I can't. Hold on. I have to think about it. I'm not like Miriam. It just doesn't come naturally.
Well, you do the lead.
You do the lead. Ready? Go. No, you go.
gotta
I do the lead. That voice?
No,
Or just
whatever.
Mom
Bun.
buns.
No, don't go with
I'm going with you. She was
Oh,
like, you guys are so good. I'm like, no, I have to really think about it.
Well, because I was like singing, I was like, do the harmony, do the harmony. She's like, okay, and she did it right away. I was like,
But I heard you. But to Miriam, I have to think about it.
why? To me, you gotta think
Not to
about
you.
it.
Like, I have to
That's okay.
be perfect.
We all have our strengths.
Oh, wow.
Okay, ready?
High expectations, that's why.
No, and that's good.
Miriam's like, again.
Yes.
Did my kids tell you something?
No. Oh, my God.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Hey ladies, my name is Caroline Knight and welcome back to Mom Buns. We are doing a part 2 on episode 2 where Gloria is going to share about her experience with marriage and kids. But I want to talk a little bit within just marriage and being a mom. You know, we all have social media, right?
Yeah.
We all, unless you're like Glory, she doesn't have Facebook, but she did get Instagram.
I did.
Like a year ago, right? It was fairly recent, but you know, I scroll through Instagram sometimes and I see these moms and they're like mom, they have like 5 kids, right? And they still look beautiful and like perfect like every single day.
Yeah.
And I wake up,
It's fake.
you know, and I'm like I'm just surprised my husband still loves me because like your girl looks rough, you know? And it just, I think subconsciously it creates this like train of thought that's like, you know, I should maybe look like that. I should try to achieve what this person here is doing and like, or that body type, you know, it looks so good. Like they have abs, like you literally just had a baby like a month ago. I think it was Jason Derulo's like baby mama. She's a model, right? And she was pregnant. She had her baby, and I kid you not, and this was not an old picture. I kid you not, like 2 weeks after she had her baby, she was posing in like a bikini, and it's like she didn't have a baby. And, like her body wasn't pregnant for 9 months, and so it just kind of like discourages you, and it creates this like just discouragement. So I think maybe Glory can, I don't know, share just a little bit about that, and again, like your experience in marriage and with kids, because again, you're going into 14 years of marriage this August.
That's awesome.
And it's a huge deal.
Yeah,
you know,
and
it's a long time.
Yeah, and I know how you were saying 2 years is really hard, and then I think at 7 years you can kind of see if you're going to make it or not. I think that's what I've heard, but I think I have a good marriage. It's solid, a strong foundation, but marriage plus kids is hard. Even if you have a good marriage, it's really hard. And we were married 2 years, and I got pregnant. So Benji came into our 3rd-year marriage, and I remember when before the baby came, I had an awesome job, a really good job. I was going to school, and I remember saying, the baby comes, I'm still going to go to work because I'm not going to lose my position. I love my job. I love my work. I love what I do. So, and my husband's like, okay, we'll make it work. Well, the baby came, and I was so in love with the baby. And I said, I don't see myself going to work. And I had no one really to watch the baby. That was another reason, because daycare was so expensive. Yeah. So it worked out. I was blessed enough, and I know not every mom can do that, but I was able to stay home with the baby. Yeah. And like I touched on the other episode, other than my mom being here, I felt like trapped. You know, the baby comes, it's all nice and dandy, and then you have lack of sleep, right? Decrease in social life. And I'm not very social, but still, it's like a huge decrease on who you hang out with, who you talk to, because now you have this little person that you talk to all the time. And I remember my husband would go to work full time, and so I was alone all day. He would get home 8, 9, 10 p.m., sometimes 1 in the morning. So I felt so alone. And then I started getting this like resentment towards my husband because he would get to go out to work and like have adult conversations, and I was home all day. And then he would come home and I was still a mom. Like there was no break for me.
Yeah.
And so he had his personal life, outside of work, and then he would come home and be a dad. But I was mom mode all day, 24/7. And I started growing like that resentment. And of course, having social media. Back then, I only had Facebook. Didn't help me. I am 20, about to be 21 with a baby, with a newborn. And I remember just comparing myself, and that's a big thing that I think moms do, compare ourselves to other moms, whether you have social media or not. And I remember comparing myself to girls my age who had graduated, my class, traveling and doing all these things, and I'm home like nursing, I'm in pain, I'm nursing my baby who's not latching, things like that you go through. I have my mom here who's helping me, my husband who's great, but I felt like he was not doing enough, right? So I create this illusion that my life should look like that, and it's not. And so here I am. I don't think I was depressed, but looking back, I'm like, maybe I was kind of depressed, because I wouldn't really talk about it. I was not very vocal. My mom knew something was going on, but I was not very honest with her of I'm struggling. And I think the breaking point for me was one time my husband comes home, and and I'm holding the baby, and he comes and he only says hi to the baby. Like he only kisses the baby, says hi to me, but only kisses the baby, and like leaves and to change. And I was like, oh my God, did he just only say hi to the baby?
Am I chopped liver?
Yes. I'm like, I started crying. I'm like nursing my kid, and I'm nursing him a lot. Like that, you feel like nursing moms out there know. And he didn't even acknowledge me. Like he just said hi, like hello, like I'm just anybody. I was like, I'm losing it. And it kept growing, and I didn't talk about it. And it was just like a resentment that I had towards my loving husband. And he was unaware what was going on because he's learning how to be a dad, but he also has to provide, right? So he goes to work, and I'm like, oh my God, but it goes back to the village. I had my good friend Leslie and Valerie, who became like second sisters to me. And they would check on me. They would check on how I was doing and make sure I was doing okay. But one thing, and even Miriam said it, and I wrote it, communicate. It came a breaking point where I was like, okay, I can't hold it in any longer. I need to be vocal about what I'm feeling to my husband because I'm not doing this thing alone. And for a long time, the first few years or months of motherhood, I'm like, I feel like I'm a single mom because my husband would work so much, many hours, and come home, and it just wouldn't stop. I wouldn't get a break because he would be tired.
You would still have to wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and I'm like looking at him sleeping, and I'm here feeding my son, my baby. And I remember at one point, my mom said, "You need to share with him what you're feeling." Because I remember telling my mom, he came and didn't even say hi to me. And she said, you need to tell him because having a baby in marriage is a different ball game. And I always remember that day when she shared that with me. And my husband comes home, and I told him what I was feeling. I'm like, you need to acknowledge me too. And you need to remember that we are marriage, and this comes first because our baby, I remember people telling me, your baby's going to grow up and leave. You need to make your marriage a priority. And I wasn't. We weren't, either of us. Our baby, it's like everything's about the baby. Yeah. And for a moment, that's okay. But it's like, don't forget that about your partner, that they're important as well. And I think that was the mistake that we did. We neglected each other. He would come home. I would be exhausted. Here's your food. I'm going to bed because I have to nurse in a few hours. And it was like a cycle. And then you add ministry into that. Yeah. It's like, it's really hard.
Nonstop, yeah.
It's nonstop, and you have people pulling from him and pulling from me, and so I said, communicate. And when I did, he was like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know you didn't, but I expected you to have an idea, but you never caught on. So I am telling you.
always the thing.
Yes, I'm telling you. And so for my own sanity, I got off Facebook. I remember canceling. I was like,
you did it?
I did it.
Okay.
I took it out because it was not good. I kept comparing myself. I would be nursing. Guess what I was doing? I was on Facebook, I'm sorry, and scrolling and comparing myself, and I felt less than when I'm like, I'm here doing the best I can. I think I have a wonderful life, but social media makes me think otherwise.
Yeah.
And so I had to be like, I'm done with social media, and I fixed my marriage by communicating to him what I was feeling. And it's 14 years later, and I still have to communicate to my husband because he can't read my mind. And then you add a second kid, a third, fourth kid, and it's different every time.
Yes, that's the thing.
It's different every time.
That's so true. And I think that sometimes we forget that like we're doing a huge thing in this world as being a mom, you know. Yeah, you see your friends, your you know, whatever, like traveling and doing all these things, but like you're creating a legacy.
And I saw being a stay-at-home mom as something less than.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm 21 and I'm a stay-at-home mom. That's embarrassing.
Which is the idea I had about my mom. Like I said in the previous one, like my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and growing up I was like, I don't want that for me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And now I would die to be a stay-at-home mom. That would be my heart's desire. You know.
It took me a long time to get to the point that what I'm doing is important, and I don't need to be validated by the world. So social media can really hurt you in that way.
And affect like your marriage, you know, because you're seeing these people and then you start gaining resentment towards, like, you know,
for the life that you have.
And it's a beautiful life.
Life. Yeah.
You're so focused on like, it's just I'm just a mom, you know, I'm just here like nursing, and
That's
I'm
how I
sitting here and
felt.
I've sat here for like 3 hours and I'm you know, but like you're keeping, you know, something alive. Right. But yeah, no, that's so true. Like sometimes we just forget, and it does affect our marriage, which brings me to my mom tip of the day. And that is to take a moment and go on a date night. You know, it can look like whatever.
Specify that it's not a birthday or
It's
anniversary.
not a birthday or anniversary.
Outside
because,
of that.
Yes, that is
Like
outside
be intentional
of the date
about
night.
it, you know.
Yeah, be intentional, you know. And I know you were saying like watch a movie together like at home or something, like if you can't find somebody, but I would caution that just do something outside of like watching something, you know, like communicate to each other, talk to each other, like fall in love a little bit more than you did yesterday, you know. Do something that like allows you to do that, you know, whether it's go outside, go to McDonald's drive-through, get an ice cream, sit in your car and talk about like memories and stuff like that, you know, before you had your kid, like, oh, remember when we used to do this? Oh, that was so fun, you know. I know
you
that
really end up talking about your kid and like
you do like how much like you're obsessed with them and how much you love them, but it is nice to or like, oh my gosh, can you believe he did that today? Oh, he's so annoying.
In our houses, let me tell you a funny story that Millie did.
But yeah, just go on a date night, you know, remember you too, you know, because it started with you guys, you know, and it is going to end with you guys because your kids are going to grow up, you know, they're not going to, and it's just going to be you guys at home. And just remember that it takes a village.
Yes.